Eric Swalwell has announced he is resigning from Congress. And this is absolutely shocking. I didn't see it coming. We knew that he was dropping out of the gubernatorial race in California because, well, he's been accused of raping a woman more than once, as well as several other women who accused him of impropriety, sending nasty photos, and apparently more women are about to come out. But the speculation was that the Democratic Party did not want to give up any seats in Congress because Republicans barely have a majority as it is, but he's resigning. I suppose he's only resigning because Tony Gonzalez, a Republican, is also resigning at the same time. So 2 members of Congress resigning over weird sex scandals. But the funny thing about Swalwell is, man, he sure can dish it. When it came to Kavanaugh, he called for Kavanaugh to bring out all of the accusers to speak up and have their stories heard. The accusations against Kavanaugh were absolutely psychotic. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, guys. I know many people are going to get upset about this, but I got to defend Swalwell at least a little bit. I certainly think it looks like he's having an affair on his wife or whatever, and there's videos of him with some other woman making out with her and stuff like that. But I have to question these allegations because it seems like this is an attempt to knock him out of the California race and Congress because Democrats were on track to lose the state. The way the primary in California works, it's an open primary, so the top 2 candidates advance to the general. This means that the 2 Republicans who are the leading candidates were likely going to be the only 2 choices. Democrats had been begging one of these other Democrats to drop out, but none of them would until now. Until a woman claims that over the period of a couple of years, she chose to get drunk, go hang out with him in his hotel room, and then, oh no, whoops, it happened again. So we'll talk about that story. I mean, look, what do I know? We'll see what the evidence is, but I have a feeling it's never going to go to criminal prosecution. This is just a political maneuver to stab the man in the back. And then, holy crap, Trump blockaded the Strait of Hormuz. I thought that he didn't want that shut down, but now he shut it down. Mm-hmm. And he posted a meme of himself as Jesus, and everyone got real mad. And then he deleted it and said he thought he was a doctor, but the image was edited to have a demon floating behind him. And so everybody's just freaking out about that. We're going to talk about that and a lot more, my friends. Before we do, we got a great sponsor for you. It is True Gold Republic. Having sound money and financial independence is important. Hard assets are extremely important. That's why you should check out True Gold Republic. Look at the world right now. Active wars, NATO under pressure, the dollar's being weaponized, $36 trillion in debt. We printed so much money since 2020, your savings are worth less every year. Gold can't be printed, it can't be sanctioned, can't be devalued by a press release. Central banks are buying it at record levels. The people who run the system are hoarding the one thing they cannot print, and that tells you everything. Insert True Gold Republic, real physical gold and silver, not paper, not ETFs, metal you can hold. Check out their Independence Bundle, a physical gold starter kit, a one-on-one with their experts, and bonus precious metals on top. The cash isn't coming, my friends. It is here. So go to truegoldrepublic.com/Tim to claim your Independence Bundle or call 800-628-GOLD or gold, or go to truegoldrepublic.com/Tim. Shout out to True Gold Republic for sponsoring the show. And don't forget to join our Discord community, my friends. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's getting crazy out there. Having a network is extremely important. And we got tens of thousands of people hanging out in the Timcast Discord server. So go to timcast.com, join up, meet new people, start new programs, create new projects. But most importantly, as a member, you make all of this possible. So if you like the show that we do, becoming a member is the best way to support our work. But don't forget to also smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Daniel Hayworth.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a pastor full-time. I also write for Human Events, where Libby is one of the wonderful editors over there. And so I'm a pastor outside of Fort Hood, Texas. It's the largest military base in the country. So Vintage Church is the name of our church. So I'm the location pastor over, we have a handful of locations, and I'm the location pastor over our central location, which is our Harker Heights location. And I'm the executive pastor over the rest of the campuses. And so that's what I do full-time. And we're obviously very engaged politically there in Texas as well. We have a lot of stuff that we do, pretty outspoken on some of that stuff, got some traction on it most recently for our Islam stuff. But
we're going to talk about how you're saying Trump is not the Antichrist.
I am saying Trump's not the Antichrist.
Okay.
But I do think that AI might be the beast, which is...
I agree. This stuff's freaking me out. We'll talk about this, so it's going to be fun. Libby's hanging out.
I'm Libby Emmons. Glad to be here. Glad to be hanging out with Daniel. I'm the editor at the Post Millennial and Human Events, and you can check out my podcast, The Pod Millennial.
What's up? Hanging out. What's up, Phil?
How you doing? Phil's here. What's going on, everybody?
Let's get to it. We got the big story here from CNN. Swalwell says he plans to resign from Congress amid sexual misconduct allegations. I have questions, CNN. Actually, you know what? I can't do this. Can I just fix this? Okay, let's. Here's what you do. You click inspect, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to pull this up, and we're going to get rid of sexual misconduct allegations, right? So we're gonna delete that. We're gonna get rid of amid rape. There you go. I fixed it for you, CNN. Swalwell says he plans to resign from Congress amid rape allegations. This is a story about Eric Swalwell. They call him Fartwell because he farted on MSNBC. He's accused of rape. Now, he's dropped out of the race. The important thing to understand, California's got an open primary system for the governor's race. The top two candidates, party doesn't matter, advance in November, and it's a race between those two people. Well, the top two candidates were Republicans. The Democratic Party had been begging these individuals to drop out, at least one person, so that the votes from that one person would move to another candidate, thus giving California the option for a Democrat or a Republican, but none of them would. Until now, after Swalwell was accused of rape. And this is surprising. We didn't think he was going to drop out of Congress, resign from Congress, because Democrats were, I mean, it's very thin, the Republican control in Congress. But yeah, he's dropping out, which is absolutely insane. Now I'm going to say this. I want to show you guys the story for those that didn't see it. And I'm going to have to go all anti-woke and defend Eric Swalwell. And I mean it, because here's the allegation. They say, a former staffer alleges he pressed himself on her sexually while she worked for him and had sex with her twice while she was too intoxicated to consent. The woman said the woman told the paper that Swalwell began pursuing her soon after she was hired at 21 to work in his office in East Bay. Swalwell, who was married and has 3 children, sent photos of his junk to the young staffer on Snapchat and pursued her sexually. In September of 2019, the woman said she woke up naked in Swalwell's hotel room after a dinner out with friends and felt the physical effects of intercourse. She later left his office but continued to work in politics. In April of 24, the accuser attended an award ceremony in New York where Swalwell was being honored. After meeting up with him, she got drinks with him and ended up intoxicated in his hotel room where he forcibly had sex with her, she claims. The Chronicle corroborated her claims with medical records and by speaking with friends she had confided in and a former boyfriend. In response, Swalwell's attorney sent a cease and desist letter to the council for the accuser and raised the possibility of a defamation suit. I got to admit, I actually feel bad for Swalwell. Now, I think he's a scumbag. I think live by the sword, Eric. This is what you get. You came after Kavanaugh. Mm-hmm. You know that they were lying about Kavanaugh. But let's just break this down and be honest, okay? This is a woman who claims she went to dinner with him and had drinks, then went to his hotel room. She woke up naked in his hotel room. Yeah, sounds like she went to his hotel room with him and then said, oh, but I was too intoxicated to consent. Told no one, said nothing. 5 years later, she goes to meet up with Swalwell again, has drinks with him, goes to his hotel room, and then once again wakes up naked and says, oh, this time he forced me. Now, they claim they corroborated medical records. Apparently, my understanding, I could be wrong, is that she got a pregnancy test shortly after and an STD test. That's what they're claiming. She did not report a rape. She didn't say that Swalwell raped her twice. And I have questions about the the cognitive faculties of a woman who claims to have gotten raped and then literally goes back to get drunk with him and goes to his hotel room.
I have these questions as well. And one thing that I never could quite square with the METOO movement amid lots of things. But one of the things I could never quite square is this thing where if a woman gets drunk and goes to a man's hotel room, that means she didn't consent. I don't get that.
Don't you know? I mean, in law, if a woman is driving drunk, she can't be held criminally responsible because she was too drunk to consent to drive.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's why
she's not responsible. It's the car's fault.
It's Schrodinger's responsibility.
Sure.
That's the way that it works.
The thing too is like if she's drinking and he's drinking, they're both drinking. They decide to do this thing together.
Did you ever see the ad that was placed somewhere in the UK where there was a man and a woman? And it was, they both go out, they both get drunk, she couldn't consent, he's a rapist. And it's like, they both got drunk. Why is it that he was the one that was the rapist? Why isn't she the rapist?
Yes, why is it? And also, why isn't she just like admitting, hey, I did some things that I'm not proud of. I behaved in ways that I'm not happy with, and I'm not going to behave that way again.
Schrodinger's responsibility.
It doesn't fall in line with the feminist worldview that the left is beholden to.
Well, it doesn't fall in line with the current feminist worldview that the left is beholden to, but certainly it falls in line with the like Camille Paglia feminist worldview.
I certainly think that Swalwell was probably like macking on a bunch of women. He's not a good dude. He's cheating on his wife or whatever. But I as much as it's hard, I got to put it this way. There's there's scales here, right? And normally if there's any other guy who knew a woman and they were, friends with benefits, whatever, hooking up, and then she betrayed him, it's like instantly you feel bad for this guy who's being lied about and falsely accused by someone you thought was his friend. But then when you weigh it out with he's having an affair on his wife, and he's a dirtbag in Congress who falsely accused people himself, it's kind of like it's hard to feel bad for him.
We don't have to have any love loss. Like, I have no love loss for Eric Swalwell. He's a dirtbag, right? Like, I'm not. But here's what I will say. I was thinking, this is what I thought when I first saw this, which is this is why Democrats vote in lockstep. I honestly, to God, believe that there's so many people on the Democrat side of the aisle where they just know that if they do anything that's going to offend the party or bring the party out of power, which is what Swalwell was basically his position in the California governor's primary was threatening the Democrat Party as a whole, that they just have enough skeletons in the closet for all of their congressional members that they'll just nuke you. And I think that this is like one of the reasons why Republicans don't always get in lockstep, and the Democrats, you never see them voting out of lockstep for the last 20 years.
I kind of disagree. Oh, I disagree with that. I don't think that Republicans are by nature any better people than Democrats. I think they just have different.
Well, every individual person is obviously different, right? I'm not saying but I am saying the Democrats know how to wield and leverage their power.
You think it's behavioral?
Yeah, well, and I think that also, I do think that there's more people on the right side of the aisle, and I'm a conservative and Republican, so obviously I think this, but I think that there's more people on our side of the aisle who are genuinely moral than people who are on the left side of the aisle because of the worldview which you hold. So I think there's some truth to that, but that doesn't mean that, like, I'm not, every person who's a Congress and is Republican is a good guy. Like, I'm not saying that. Obviously, that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that there are people of poor character on both sides of the aisle. And I do think that Democrats are better at corralling the Democrats. There was
because they'll me too you. They're like, if you threaten our power, we'll me too you.
There used to be a phrase that was thrown around DC, the Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love, right? Democrats are all about, well, this person is what I want to believe in, et cetera, whereas Republicans fall in line. I think that those days are gone. I think it's clear that Republicans don't fall in line the way that they used to, and I think you see that with the fighting that's going on with the MAGA base between the MAGA base and the neocons or
I'm in
standard
Texas.
GOP
or
whatever,
live.
Yeah. But I do think that, look, I mean, I'm not in any way upset that this is happening to Swalwell. I do think anytime a woman has a lot of years between when something happened and when it comes out, it always happens when it's particularly convenient.
It's very convenient right now. Because there were too many Democrats on the running for governor in California.
And I think that there's substance
like
to that.
Hilton and another GOP might take the lead.
But I don't feel bad for Swalwell at all, and I think it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
You heard what he said about Kavanaugh. I went back and started looking at some of the interviews he gave in 2018, and he was like, "Oh, this must be the unluckiest guy ever if all these people are saying that he did this bad thing."
20 years ago.
Yeah, and he was saying also that the victims, should be paraded into Congress and give their testimony, and I think that should happen for Swalwell. I'm always concerned about anonymous accusations. I think that's always bogus.
He's got a ethics committee investigation, which is probably why he decided to resign. And he's facing an investigation in New York for
perhaps a divorce. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, live by the sword. I think Democrats are just deeply evil people.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, I don't agree with, I never agree with Democrats the way that they use these allegations and accusations to take people down. So even though, Swalwell would do that himself. I think it's wrong to do it, but I'm also not sad to see him go.
So what happens when your only virtue is power, which is something that we've talked about?
It's a very Democrat thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's like their only virtue is maintaining political power, and so anything in pursuit of that can be sacrificed for that, which we see play out over and over and over again. I think this is just like the latest instance of it, but you think honestly about the political landscape. When was the last time anyone in the Democrat side sacrificed power actually in order to do something virtuous outside of that goal?
Yeah, no, Swalwell's sacrificing power to save what remains of his power.
Yeah, that's right.
So let me read a statement. He said on X, he posted, "I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong. But it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they are able, in my absence, to serve the needs of the good people of the 14th Congressional District." I just got to say it again. Removing all of the politics. If you have a story of a guy and he works with a young woman, she's into him, they have drinks, they hook up. A few years later, she mates back up with him. Presumably now she's in her late 20s. They have drinks. They're probably having a good time. Imagine the laughs they were sharing as they were at the bar, hanging out. He's asking her how it's been. She hasn't worked for him for a couple of years. And then they go back to his place and, get it on. And then later she knifes him in the back for political power. That's the Democratic Party. You will be stabbed in the back by demons the moment they can make money off of you.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know. Maybe the story's true. Maybe she just got raped twice by the guy and she keeps coming back for more. I mean, there's a lot of women who get abused by guys. They come back to that guy,
She must like him.
Well, I mean, there's the allure of a person in Congress. Women are attracted to power, so I guess she does did like him enough to hang out with him more than once.
And maybe she likes money even more, and that's why she's owning up to it now.
Yeah, one of the girls was texting him too, in between. I think it was the same girl that was like, "Hey, you're gonna make such a great governor of California," right? Texting him different stuff that had gotten leaked in one of the previous dumps because there's multiple women involved in these different things, and one of them was like, "Don't worry, honey, you're gonna be great as governor of California." So you got to think it's not a non-consensual forcible rape situation, at least in some of these things, and so it just comes back to okay, it would be good for us as a country, and I know I'm a pastor, but I'm just saying it would be great for us as a country if we would recover some of a more biblical sexual ethic of how about you sleep with your wife. We rein some of this stuff in. And I know that that's going to get me a lot of hate, but I'll just say you can't get accused of a lot of these things if you're actually pursuing something that's virtuous outside of your own.
Except there's a video of him making out with a woman. And the conspiracy theory is that in order to be high-ranking political in the Democratic Party, they intentionally make you do things on film they can use against you.
And look,
I don't
know if that's
Scientology?
true.
Like Scientology?
I have no
kind of
idea if
stuff
they're
like
doing that, but with this video of Swalwell, the conspiracy theory is when you come into the private club and they say, do you want to be a member of Congress? Do you want to be a superdelegate? Do you want to be in the power? Okay, we're going to film you. That way, if you ever cross us, we'll destroy you.
Yeah, like a gang.
Also,
But who would say yes to that, right? You'd rather just turn around and say, if you're in that position, you'd think someone smart would say, I'm actually going to tell this story on the news at 8 a.m. tomorrow and screw you over before you have any leverage over me. You'd think that at some point somebody would say something.
if you haven't achieved a position of power yet, you're going to be going up against essentially the whole Democrat machine, and it's just little old you trying to get time with people that are friendly with the Democrat machine. If you're going to be on the news, who do the news align with? And second of all, to your earlier point, look, Mike Pence got a lot of flack.
I remember
he made it clear that he doesn't go to dinner by himself with women that are not his wife, and that, to be honest with you, that's a very smart thing to do.
I just watched that new movie on Apple TV, Outcome, with Keanu Reeves. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
I haven't seen it.
It's actually really good. I wouldn't describe it as a funny comedy. I would just describe it as kind of like an interesting movie with some chuckles in it. It's supposed to be a black comedy. And the story is Keanu Reeves is playing a childhood celebrity who grows up and is beloved by everybody. When he finds out that there is a tape someone's got of him doing something improper, causing him to have a panic attack.
I heard about this.
Yeah, it's There's some funny things in it because Jonah Hill's character is psychotic. He's got a portrait of Kanye West in his office in LA. There's like a bunch of, it's like things like that are jokes that aren't really, you're laughing your ass off. However, I have to, there's a spoiler I'm going to make. I have to say it because it's very relevant. He, in the end, I won't give away exactly what happens, but he asks someone, do you hate me? He's like a celebrity and people are coming after him. And the guy's like, no, man, I love you. I'm just broke. and that's what I see with stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Swalwell is a man with power. And these women clearly behind the scenes are like, they love him. Then someone comes to them and says, do you want power in exchange for burning him? And they go, yes, absolutely. So I think that I think more people are oppressed, as you were saying, by demons.
Yeah.
Influenced by demons than we let on. There are people out there. I will tell you this, man. They have demons on their shoulders, and I don't mean this figuratively. You walk to them. You're a regular working class guy. Let's say you do general trade work, and you meet someone one day, and he's a good guy, and he buys you a beer, and you're like, that Jim's a good dude. Then the moment you have something he wants, he slashes your tires, he beats the crap out of you and takes everything and runs. And you're thinking to yourself, how is it possible that someone could do that? Yeah. There are more people like that than anyone knows. It's just that the demons are looking for someone to prey upon that they can attack. And Swalwell is standing high on a pedestal. Not the highest of pedestals, but he's up there. And I think, and I could be wrong, maybe the allegations are all true, but I doubt it. I think these women are just like, ooh, you mean I can take from him? I will.
Yeah. Well, you encounter I would say everybody, actually, believe it or not, I would say everybody has dealt with and actively to a degree deals with what we in Christianity would call demonic forces, which means that possession and oppression are different, right? Not everyone's possessed by a demon, and you don't need to look for a demon under every rock that you kick, but there's an active kingdom of darkness. That's what, the Bible says that clearly in Ephesians. It says our struggles are not against flesh and blood, against the rulers, authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms, meaning there's a world that we can't see. And I think that the country is starting to wake up to this. We've had this really secular America for 60 years or so that just taught us that atheistic secular morality, that's what's been taught in our public school systems. There is no God. Atheism is the only way. And I think people are starting to realize, hey, there's something more to this world that I can't see. And I think that a lot of the stuff that you see makes a lot more sense when you start to view the world through a spiritual lens and say, well, what if a demon were involved in this, what would they do? And if you ask yourself that question about, like, I would say 75, 80%, I think, Libby, we've talked about this before, of the political stories, you would say, oh yeah, there's something spiritual going on here that I can't see necessarily in the physical, but that makes sense if you ask yourself the question, like, what would somebody who's acting either beholden to or influenced by a worldview or by the whispers of demons do? And I think that that's what this case is.
Let's jump to this story from CNN. Trump deletes social media post depicting him as Jesus, but refuses to apologize amid tension with Pope. Well, here's the image. Gunther Eagleman says, President Trump just posted this powerful painting on Truth Social. Trump stands radiant in a red robe, laying hands on a sick man while surrounded by American symbols, the flag, eagles, fighter jets, the Statue of Liberty, and everyday heroes. Well, here's the image, and that's clearly Trump as Jesus, healing a sick man with divine light and
the stethoscope and
a demon.
The scrubs.
Oh, you mean this one right here?
No, I mean Trump. I was.
Here's scrubs in the stethoscope. Here's a weird demon above him. That's
sure
weird.
Is. Sure is a weird demon in that picture.
I mean, to be honest, it's just a weird
like
AI monster.
Could just be like a crown.
Sure,
I think
but he posted it.
So this is going to be a little nerd side of me. That is actually more closely related to, and it's an AI image, so it's not exact. That's actually more closely aligned to what's described in the Bible as seraphim, which is actually a type of angel, than it is anything else. Seraphim are a type of guardian angel that are described in the Bible. In the book of Ezekiel, you can find some stuff about that. But that said, it's an AI image, so it looks a lot more demonic because the head is wrong.
Also, because AI is
horns. And also because AI, I think, is demonic. So that's a rabbit hole. But I don't think it's necessarily a demon. Is my only comment on that.
Trump responded, and here's what he said.
Depicted as Jesus Jesus Christ.
Well, it wasn't depiction. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, "How did they come up with that?" It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and
No,
I do
it's
make
not.
people better.
No, it's
I
not.
make people a lot better. As an example, the 11,000. I understand your husband's going.
That is the worst spin I've ever seen from Trump, and Trump's a spinster. So, well, he's a spin master, a spinster, or something else. So I was watching Fox today, and in one of their quick, news alerts, it was like, Donald Trump is being criticized for an image depicting him wearing a white robe and healing a sick man. Trump has, made a statement. And I'm like, whoa. That is not at all what's going on. Trump is being criticized because I'm assuming someone took a picture of Jesus and said, make it Donald Trump in the AI. And this is what it made. Mm-hmm. And it's just, very weird. So immediately, this is the reaction that we got. British morning show guest declares Trump is the Antichrist. Check this out.
But I'm just going to say this, right? I'm a person that was raised a Catholic. I did all the sacraments. I read the book, I lost my faith, but I still find that deeply, deeply offensive.
Which bit?
Okay, I just got to pause and say, shut up. I lost my faith, but I'm offended. No, you're shut
all
up.
of it. How dare you? That is blasphemous. That is
What the picture you mean?
the picture is blasphemous. It's a huge disrespect. That in itself is the breaking of a commandment. The man himself has broken in my mind, all but 8. So he's broken 8 of the 10 commandments. This guy, in my opinion, is the Antichrist.
That's a different
So
thing.
no wonder he doesn't like the Pope. I have no.
He's the Antichrist.
I mean,
so I will just say this, and then we can have this discussion. Several years ago, we had a conversation on the Culture War podcast with some eschatologists, amateur eschatologists on social media, where this is 2023. They said on the show, if Donald Trump suffers any kind of injury to the right side of his head or face, and he nearly dying or has some kind of injury to his right arm, he is the Antichrist. And at the time, we're like, I mean, come on. And then Trump took a bullet to the side of the head, suffering an injury that seemingly was a mortal wound where he falls down, and people don't know if he's dead, but then he rises up, raising his fist, blood dripping down, seemingly healed or surviving. Mm-hmm. Some say a false resurrection. And right now, he's got this growing blotch on his arm that is spreading, and he's been covering it up with makeup. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now what's happening is people are saying he's got the injury to the right side of his face and he has the withering right arm. Now with these images of him as the Messiah and that woman in the White House in the Oval Office who said, you have a lot in common with another man.
Paula Wright.
Was that who that was?
I don't remember, but that's his personal
last week.
pastor who's.
And then everyone got mad saying he's comparing himself to Jesus. So again, I'm not offended by this. I think, my attitude is kind of like, whatever. But there are a lot of people now saying that Trump is the Antichrist, and more we are seeing signs.
People were saying Trump is the Antichrist for a long time.
Yes, but
People want an excuse, I think, to say Trump's the Antichrist to a degree.
Yes,
certain people, certain categories of people. for
Sure.
a bullet to the right side of his head that many people at the moment thought he died when he got shot, when there's a shot rang out and he grabs it and the blood's on his hand and then he goes down. I remember when that happened and seeing the video, no one had any idea what was going on. And then he stands up with his fist raised and yells, fight, fight, fight. And this was a seemingly mortal wound that did not stop him. And then he rises up, but he's also got the withered hand. So, of course, I got to say, having a world leader who hits at least, even just 2 of the criteria is worrying. I'm not saying Trump is the Antichrist, but I can see why people are starting to freak out. And, Clint Russell, friend of the show, said, in the last year and a half, he went from hesitantly voting for Donald Trump to now believing he might be the Antichrist. A lot of people are starting to think that might be the case.
I mean, I have issues with this. I don't find it personally offensive necessarily. I do find it blasphemous entirely, because if I was going to be personally offended, I'd be offended by tons of stuff all the time, which is stupid. But this is idolatry. He's idolizing himself and casting himself in the role of Jesus Christ. And that is against the rules. That stupid lady is kind of right about that one.
Well,
it's a false God, and he's worshiping it, and it's himself.
I'm going to give Trump I'm going to give
Sure,
Trump
but
much,
it's
much
gross.
less credit than that.
Search-
I'm going to give Trump much, much less credit than that.
I'm giving the demons who are perhaps controlling him the
Listen,
credit.
I think what actually happened is, Occam's razor, is that he gets sent memes by staffers that he doesn't really pay attention to. And someone sent him this image because it was some pastor posted in February. And Trump glanced at it and then just hit share and then posted the truth, not really thinking.
That's that's really similar to my take, because like you got to think
I would give him full agency.
They print stuff to him. They hand it off. He looks at it on pieces of paper, and you just kind of think about like boomers, and they're like, LOL.
that.
Like I just see him looking at that and going like, cool. And I mean,
And maybe it had like the inkjet lines in it.
they have nicer printers at the White House, but it's still printed out.
There was a Pokemon card that had a swastika on it. Because the original Japanese print in Japan, they don't think twice about the Buddhist symbol. And when it went to America, nobody really thought about it. And they were like, oh, wait. And so they had to get rid of it and like redo the art, I guess. Or they might have redone it before it got to America. But my point is...
Is the original really valuable still?
Is what?
Is the original really valuable?
I don't know if they stopped it from going to print. The story that I heard was that it got released and then they panicked. They may have changed it before it got there. I could be wrong. But the general idea is just that I don't think Trump is the kind of guy. First of all, I don't think he thought it was him as a doctor. That's stupid.
No, that's stupid.
What are the odds he didn't even see it, though? Like, do you think...
Pretty good, actually.
But he owned it. He said, yes, I posted it. And then he explained this whole stupid thing about how it was a doctor, which obviously it isn't, about how he supports the Red Cross, which obviously he doesn't. He cut funding to the Red Cross, and then he went on to say that he actually really is a healer because of... no tax on tips, apparently.
Yeah, he's obviously
the
trying
whole
not...
thing was so
he's trying not
stupidly done. Like,
to
what
make any political cost to him on this, because I think that actually makes me think a lot more, Libby, that what Tim and I are kind of saying is right, which is that he's like, didn't really want to pick a fight with Christians, so I definitely don't think that... So he's like looking at it, he's like, well, I'm not trying to fight this fight, so he's like, I'll delete it, and I'll be like, hey, this isn't what I thought. I will say I don't think Trump's the Antichrist, and I don't actually think that he thinks he's Jesus Christ. And I think that there's a lot of reasons that you can look at more serious statements that he's made over the past year or two that talk about how he's open to the faith as a whole. I don't think that Trump is like a spiritual leader for me personally, so I'm not worried on that front. And
you think he's
barely a political leader
for anybody?
I think that if you take him as such that you are wrong for doing so, he's a political figure. And I think that doesn't mean that you don't have to be held accountable for certain actions. But I do think that this was a lot less serious, like Tim said, and I think a lot of people are reacting to.
What does that mean, though? What is holding him accountable for posting a dumb picture?
But that's what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying
impeachment. He's got
to go.
That is not what I'm saying.
You got to do it.
I'm saying
there
there are times when even non-spiritual by nature figures have to be held accountable for their views on things, and obviously we all believe that. We don't believe that these things are completely separated out, the moral from the political, or else we would just be a communist country.
I'll say that I will hold the girl who got drunk and had sex with Swalwell in his hotel room fully accountable for her actions, and I will hold Trump fully accountable for his.
Sure.
So what does
that mean for you?
Yeah, what's the
though?
accountability?
Well, I don't have any power. Right. So, I mean, I don't have any.
What should
I don't
happen
have
to Trump?
President's ear. Well, I think that people should take a close look at what it is that he's saying in this case.
But I know, but what's accountability? Like, what's the penance? Should he say 10 Hail Marys?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he goes to confession. Certainly, if he did go to confession and he said,
"Go to
confession," I know, but like, what do you think
sinned.
The penalty for this transgression is?
I don't think that there's like a penalty that exists
Apologize?
for Trump. He's not going to apologize. He didn't walk it back. I think
I thought I was a doctor.
Yeah, I thought, you could see.
So are you saying like people should stop supporting him over this, or like what's?
I'm saying that people who do support him should believe Trump, when he tells them who he is.
I got to be honest. I am not a Christian. The Iran war thing was really bad. And I still supported him, but this crossed the line for me. This is the one thing that did it. Trump posted a meme that was blasphemous. But the funny thing is, it actually feels like that's true. There are a lot of people.
I hate the war, and then this is like another little slap in the face.
But like when I woke up, when I come in and I start looking at the media, like social media blowing up, talking about Trump posting this, it was funny to see the people who were like, "No new wars. I voted for Trump." Iran war starts and they say, I'm not a fan of this, but I got to stand with the president because we don't want to lose. And I'm like, I agree with it. Then he posts this, and there's a lot of people that are just like, I'm done. This is too far. And I'm like, look, I get it. I mean, this is your immortal soul right here. A war with Iran is earthly dealings. A lot of people, I think, are rightly, if you are Christian, I understand why they're upset about it.
Yeah, so I mean, here's what I would say. Like
he worships himself. That's disgusting.
So here's what I would say about all people who are if you are apart from biblically, if you're apart from Christ in any way, then you're following after something that's not the ideal, which is Christ, or not the truth, which is Christ. And so do I know if Trump is a believer? No, but I think that he's probably curious right now, which I'm hopeful for. And so I pray for that because I think he's done a good job leading our country. And so I pray for that. But am I getting up every day and thinking like, what does Donald Trump think about my faith? No, I'm not. And so when I see something like this, I'm like, all right, I don't love that, but I also didn't vote for him to do that. I need him. I would like him to not do this, but I also am not going to like bail on him and say like the world is over. I'm voting Democrat now, right? Because like,
well, but that's the thing too. There are no Democrat options, right? I mean, the Democrats are totally played out.
Well, there's Swalwell. Oh,
wait a second.
There was.
Dang it.
we almost had hope.
But the thing is, I don't care what Trump thinks about my faith even a little bit. I do think that it is a misstep to worship yourself.
Sure.
And to
We can
put
agree on
yourself on a pedestal like this. And I think that if you have a leader who is full of self-worship, then your nation might have a problem.
Yeah, I think that's
because who are we following? We're following a man who worships himself.
That's not like new information though.
Well, here it is.
Like,
here it is in color and AI. Right?
I think
I have to agree. Like the man puts his name in big gold letters on the top of skyscrapers.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not
he
surprised
owns
by
the
this at all.
skyscrapers. I do think there's a difference between owning a bunch of property in New York and slapping your name on it whenever your management company gets a contract and this.
I think Trump's going to lose a lot of supporters over this.
I think it's going to be more politically detrimental than is necessary. But I agree with you. I agree that he's going to lose Trump's support. And I would say...
I don't think some. His approval among non-college whites is now in the negatives, which is wild.
Well, it's crazy.
When did
it kind
that
of makes
happen?
it look like
He has been dropping support precipitously over the past several months. CBS News poll just came out showing Trump is currently -4 among non-college whites.
Non-college whites.
-4. He was at in September. He was at 10. Or no, I'm sorry. In February, he was at like 10. September, he was at like 24, and a year ago he was +36.
Yeah,
he is going down.
Well, I will say this about the evangelical voter bloc: it is the most reliably conservative voter bloc in the country for the past 50 years, and it continues to be that. And so, pissing off the base in this way is not ideal, politically speaking. You know, the spiritual aside, it's not a good political move.
So, is he the Antichrist?
No. I don't think so.
No.
But AI is probably the beast.
He's just a clown.
So why do you think he's not the Antichrist?
So, well, some of the things you're describing aren't necessarily biblical characteristics of the Antichrist. When I consider these figures that we talk about when we talk about eschatology, which is the study of the end, you always come back to what does the Bible actually say? What does God's word actually say? And
it says the false shepherd has a withered right arm. And he's blinded in the right eye.
Kind of. Well, it doesn't say he's necessarily blinded in the right eye. Some of these things are descriptions of different characters that are often lumped together. That's another thing that's important to distinguish. Like a lot of the descriptions of the beast or the false prophets, it's disagreed upon, or it's either just lumped in together in mainstream sort of pop culture. What these people are. What is necessarily true of the Antichrist is that he comes after several other key figures in our eschatology and after several other key events. And for
like who and what?
Yeah, so like the beast. The beast comes.
The beast is here already.
Yeah, well, the beast is not actively present, exerting power over the world. The mark hasn't been issued to people, and so those kinds of things
I think so.
See coming on the scene. Well, I would love to hear your argument on that.
It's have you seen how many businesses no longer allow cash? You must have your cell phone.
Yeah, I hate that.
You can't rent cars anymore. You can't get on planes. Most of the grocery stores that go in the metro area have zero cash. You must have your device networked to the machine, which is being dictated by AI, a multi-headed beast of horns. I certainly think the AI is the beast, and it's here.
The one good thing that Tish James ever did in New York was say that businesses had to accept cash, that they could not force people to use paperless currency.
It really pissed me off when I go to the airport and my app would not load my ticket. So I went to the kiosk and the machines don't print tickets anymore.
That's right.
They tell you they're going to send you an email to your phone. And I was like, that's the problem. My phone's not pulling it up for some. So I scanned the QR code and the app opens, no ticket. And then I'm like, so I had to delete the app so that it would trigger a web browser to send me an email or something. It was super annoying. I suppose if you go up to the counter and say, I don't have a phone, it doesn't work. But it is wild. You go to places and they're like, we don't take cash. And you're like, how do I buy from you? You can't.
Yeah.
You must have.
And the people who are
and then they
working
tell
at
you
the
it's like,
store
you got to have the
don't
mark of the
care.
beast to buy here. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, kind of. So
And the people who are working at the store don't care because they don't own the store. They have no stake in the store.
Yep.
There's a
Store-
viral video.
If the door is locked for the whole day and they're in the store, they're still going to get paid.
There's a viral video where a guy orders a sandwich at Jimmy John's, and then it starts with them arguing, and the guy's like, I can't accept cash from you. I don't have change. And he was like, that's not my problem. And the guy's like, you can't have the sandwich. And he's like, I have money to pay you. You have to accept it. He's like, I can't. And they get into an argument over it. Like, this is where we're at already.
Yeah.
You are going to have you're going to have to be networked into the machine with the social credit score. All of this is coming. And I will tell you this right now. It's funny how this relates to everything. The powers that be, the political elites, the tech bros have known for probably 20 years that AI, which they've been building for a long time, is going to destroy the global economy overnight. And they are intentionally holding it back and trickling it out to try and prevent a dam from bursting. They want to slowly flood the valleys so that people get up and start leaving. All of their worldly possessions left behind and destroyed, but not all at once, so you don't get a Luddite Revolution 2.0. But that's how bad it's going to be.
I think that there can be an argument made that there is a Luddite revolution brewing right now. Just look at the attacks on Sam Altman's house.
Oh, agreed. They the guy Molotoved his house. Mm-hmm. Another guy went to a politician's and shot it up. Mm-hmm. I think that people underestimate the AI. You know, let's do this. Let's just jump right into it. And we got to get the Strait of Hormuz stuff in here, but I got to pull up this story. This is we've got this tweet from Evan Luthra. Researchers just mathematically proved that AI layoffs will destroy the economy, and every CEO already knows it, but none of them can stop. It's called the AI layoff trap. Every company replacing workers with AI is also firing its own customers. Every laid-off employee is someone who used to spend money. When enough people lose their jobs, nobody can afford to buy anything, and the companies that fire everyone go bankrupt, selling products to an economy with no purchasing power. So this is an academic research paper. We got this from, ARXIV, Cornell University, talking about the AI layoff trap. We've described this very phenomenon on this show. When I said that AI is going to take everyone's jobs away, there's not going to be any people. The response I often get is, no. There won't be people to do the jobs, but the companies can replace those lost workers with robots.
But there won't
Except
be any,
you can't replace your customers with robots.
Yeah. Right.
This is going to happen. And every CEO knows this. They have had meetings about it. The things that I have learned recently from people in the space have sent chills down my spine. I genuinely believe AI is the beast or whatever. This is a machine. I'll put it like this. I'll give you the gist of it. Tech bros and CEOs got together and had a meeting. And they all said, look at what we've built. And they said, my God, if we release this technology to the public right now, the global economy ceases to exist overnight. What's going to happen is that mid-managers, upper-level managers, senior VP-level individuals, these are people who make maybe $500,000 a year. They are out of jobs instantly. You no longer need the white-collar managerial class. But these people are not stupid. They are hard workers and slightly above average intelligence. What will happen if you eliminate low-level jobs? You'll get a bunch of angry poor people who become communists or say burn down a warehouse. What happens if you then nuke all of the mid-level managers and upper-level managers? You now have an organizing force behind a revolution. Mm-hmm. They know this. They are concerned about it. So they are slowly releasing this technology. The dam is going to break. They're trying to make it a gradual flooding of the zone so that instead of an overnight change that results in massive violence and political revolution, people just slowly lose their livelihoods and become destitute one at a time, so that there's not enough of a critical mass so that there will be a physical, violent revolution. I'll give you another example. One of my favorite stories that I've told a million times. eBay in the 90s had a yellow website. They decided to update the website and make it white. They changed it overnight, and everyone started complaining. They were flooded with complaints from people saying, I hate the new website, change it back. The white is awful. So they did. Everyone calmed back down. Then, every day from that point on, they would increment 1 degree, one value from yellow towards white. 1 year later, the website was white and no one complained.
No one noticed, yeah.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. That is the agenda. It's all connected. Why they want to bring in a bunch of low-skill labor? There's a bunch of political theories. One of these, at the highest level, is a UBI will need to be implemented.
Yeah.
And Elon said this publicly recently.
Indeed. The strategy, one of the proposed strategies, is give every single person $10,000 per year, no matter what, rich, poor, or otherwise. The goal here is to create a baseline that everybody will get access to. That way, if you are a insurance company mid-level manager managing employees, we don't need you anymore. Actually, the adjusters, the people who actually go out and do the inspections, we'll need them. But the managers we don't need, AI can handle all of the back and forth for paperwork, hiring, firing, HR, all that stuff. We don't need you anymore. These people will then be less upset. They may have lost their $40,000, $50,000 a year job, but they're not going to be hungry and homeless. They will just be low class. So instead of being hungry,
why won't they be homeless?
They'll
10,000 isn't enough for housing and food for 1 year.
The idea is a welfare base that makes sure. I'll put it like this: the three functions of a revolution is when what is it? You can't have access to food, security, or what's the third one? Is it? It's not water, I don't think.
Maybe shelter, maybe.
Yeah, shelter.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure everybody has a base amount of food and shelter to prevent a revolution. If AI rolls out in its full potential right now, every company fires every white-collar manager. All of a sudden, you have foreclosures. All their houses are gone.
I don't think that
people stop buying from grocery stores.
I don't think that happens that fast. The reason is because the reason I'm telling you why I don't think that, because right now there's a lot of jobs that AI could replace, but the adoption isn't as fast as some people think.
Let me just reiterate. The AI technology they already have surpasses what they've released to the public. The CEOs have had meetings about this. They know if they release the technology as rapidly as it's developed right now, every company goes out of business overnight. Every employee can't afford their house. Phil, you're shaking your head, but you are misunderstanding. The AI technology you experience is 3% of what they actually have.
That doesn't have an effect on what the speed of adoption would be.
It will.
I mean, that's an assertion with no evidence. Right now, like I said, there are a lot of jobs that can be done by AI that companies have not done a ton of firing.
Because we don't have the full capability of AI being released intentionally, because the companies know if they do, they will wipe out too many jobs too fast. This is why Agenda 2030 was put together by the World Economic Forum, because they've been working on this technology since the 70s. They know exactly what is going to happen. This research paper on the AI layoff trap is just the public finally recognizing what these people have already known. I was talking to a handful of people who work in the sector recently who said, behind the scenes, the stuff that we have will blow your mind and is intentionally being held back because the government is concerned. These companies are concerned. They will wipe out the housing market overnight. They will wipe out the global economy overnight. And that will not be conducive to the end goals of what the technology and progress would be. If we want a functioning society with like Star Trek level replicators and AI doing everything, then it has to be tapered out in a way where you slowly flood the zone over time. People will lose their jobs and lose their livelihoods. And in the end, the valley will be wiped out, but most people will have slowly moved on. If the dam breaks right now, if they were to release technology they actually have access to, then everyone's screaming and running. There's chaos in the streets, refugees everywhere.
The reason that they're holding Mythos back isn't because of the capability.
I didn't say Mythos.
Well, Mythos is the model that they have right now.
And this is a totally unrelated thing to nothing.
So you're talking about like something that no one knows about except for like the people that are.
Well, I'll put it this way: we've seen Dance 2, the Chinese AI for making videos, and we've shown the video trailers. We've played music from AI. These industries are already gone. The Dance 3, according to leaks, they have this technology right now. In 30 seconds, they can make 17-minute short films with a single prompt. And they are functional, perfect short films. That's the report. Videos have gone viral showing Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise fighting over Epstein. And everyone went, wow, Dance is now available to the public. We got this movie trailer where John Cena and Alan Ritchson are going around fighting neighborhood bullies. And we're watching that going like, holy crap, it looks very real. That is probably 2 or 3% of the actual capabilities they have that they are intentionally not releasing. They could right now say available for purchase, but Hollywood would cease to exist overnight. Suno 5.5, the AI music generator. Like we were talking about this before the show, I'm like, I don't know how music exists. I think that right now music exists to us because we have an attachment to cultural elements, the individuals, the experiences that we had in our lives when that music played. But the next generation is going to grow up surrounded by AI music, and they will have no emotional attachment to older bands. Now, again, these companies have technology like Google Gemini already internally can make full feature films.
Right.
Dance can already do it. The reason they're not releasing it, they say, is the energy required, blah, blah, blah. No. They have more than just this capability. Already, when it comes to YouTube, is a great example. If these companies released their full AI capability, we would not exist as a company. And we're already feeling the pressure. Everyone is feeling the pressure. It is estimated that around a third of YouTube is AI-generated content now.
Really?
And what they're making is mini docs. Look at TikTok and Instagram. It's almost entirely now.
Yeah, they're flooding a lot of AI into those.
There's a kid who got interviewed by Fortune who says he does $100,000 a month or something, and all he does is he says for 2 hours a day he works. 2 hours a day, he's a millionaire. He goes on some program, clicks search trending YouTube. He then clicks, here's a topic I think works, generate. It auto generates a video. He makes 6-hour videos on like ancient Roman philosophy, and has an AI voice speak it, and it takes him 2 hours to do, and he's making $100,000 per month. This is temporary, but what's going to happen is it starts with the big networks, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, cable TV news. Technology comes in that allows shows like this to exist. For a low cost, we can do a high quality production. We can do a show that these companies spend millions on, and we laugh. It's cheap for us. We're in the space. AI has just further leveled the playing field with everybody. And now people with little to no talent or work ethic can compete with talented individuals trying to build and produce content. Sure. If these companies released the full capability of their video production, I'd be able to go on there and say, load up the top 10 articles and make a full episode of Timcast IRL, and it would render it in 30 seconds. I'd hit upload and I'd walk away and be done for the day. They're intentionally not releasing this technology right now because it's going to, first of all, the technology to manage an insurance company exists easily through these LLMs. They are not releasing this just yet because they don't want to blow up the economy. But that's the point.
Isn't it going to make life worse for everybody when this all does get released?
The argument is you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Right, but isn't people not going to like it? Or it doesn't matter?
But what about the kid who's 1 year old today who has no understanding of economics, of culture, and they grow up in a world where these jobs never existed in the first place?
Sure. So I think, Tim, if we just assume everything that you said is completely accurate, I think the only question that really comes down to is when we say fast, what does that really look like? And decisions that are made on behalf of, there's people at certain companies and governments and stuff that are there's a political part of this that's gonna play out too, and that's anybody's guess how things are gonna end up getting rolled out. Because some company might go and say, "Hey, you guys aren't gonna release your stuff, but we're gonna make $1 billion, hundreds of $1 billion by releasing."
There's something called the National Security Letter, and that's when the federal government shows up, goes to the CEO and slides a letter across their desk, and they say, "You will die if you cross us."
The idea that there is, so I don't think that this is accurate, because I don't think that there is a secret AI. If there was that technology, China has so thoroughly infiltrated the United States and even a lot of the companies that are making these cutting edge LLMs. If there was that, I think that China would have already released it.
What do you mean
they would
secret AI?
Well, I mean, you're saying that there's an AI that hasn't been released. You're saying that their AI
Every single company's AI capability is like 10 or 20-fold the public release.
Right.
Okay, so
That's a fact, right?
So the point that it's not a fact. I don't think so.
It is.
I don't think it's a fact. I think
The internal capabilities of these AI companies, they have publicly admitted they're like outside of what I'm discussing, where what I've heard from people who work in the AI space is that the CEOs have already met together and discussed this, and the government has been involved. That the capabilities of AI as it exists right now is too powerful to be released. It will destroy the economy. The same thing is true for China. All of that aside,
if that were the case, then why
it
wouldn't
is
the
a
Department of War
publicly
have
admitted
used
fact that every one of these companies has a substantially more powerful version of their AI.
So
than the
I
public
understand
release.
what you're saying. So that's why I said METOOs, right? That's the most cutting edge, the one that
Claude one,
that Anthropic says that they are giving to, I think it's 11 different companies because
Apple,
of the
Amazon, et cetera.
because of the capabilities of it. I don't think they have one that's more advanced than METOOs. I don't think they have a ChatGPT that's more advanced than whatever 5 is the next one coming. They're working on it. And if they did, I don't think that just because the United States and companies that are in the United States would say hypothetically, they get together and say, we're not going to release our most cutting edge model because it'll damage the economy too much. China doesn't have any of those same compunctions. China continuously releases these advanced models that are open source. So they don't even hide the code. They're just like, they give them away for free. Yep. So if those technologies did exist, I think China would at least be releasing models that are as advanced as METOOs. Because right now, one of the things that China deals with is the fact that they don't get the high end, the fastest, the best chips, right? There's the United States has a ITAR between, or something. I think it's ITAR, but Taiwan doesn't send them their most advanced chips. So if there was a model so advanced that wasn't being
I feel like this is not I feel like your response, you're intentionally exaggerating what I'm saying to make it sound impossible. A model so advanced, we know that the internal models for these companies are substantially more advanced than the public release. Right?
Well, I mean,
fact.
So I know that METOOs is, and I know that they're consistently trying to. METOOs is the most.
It's the one where they said that it would compromise all security because it would crack every 0 day. Instantly.
Well, yeah, because they said that it's really good.
That's a different issue. The fact is, C-Dance 3 is the easiest example that we have where we know for a well, I don't say but we've seen C-Dance 2. The first thing is, obviously companies have R&D, so internally before they release something, they've got more advanced versions not yet ready for public release for a variety of reasons. But we're already looking at companies laying off tens of thousands of people. Like every week, there's a new story about
what course
mass
of time
layoffs.
do you think this is going to happen over? This is
Well,
the
again,
question I'm
the
most
point
interested
is-
in. I think because I think implementation timeline, all of that stuff affects what all of this
Couple
is.
years.
You think a couple years until.
And the
something like
point is, it would be exponentially faster if not for the political machinations behind the scenes to reduce the speed at which this happens. They don't want to blow up the global economy. So you are going, again, I'm going to say this. For those that don't believe me, suno.com, you can go in and type in any kind of song you want and have a studio level Hollywood music, LA production song done. You can go to ChatGPT and say, write lyrics about a song where Trump is the greatest president. Take those lyrics. Actually, I don't even do that. Suno can do all of it. When we look at the video generation stuff, it's crazy. Like C-Dance 2 is mind blowing.
Yeah.
These videos that are already coming out. With rumors of what Sea Dance 3 can do, Hollywood is over. There's already production studios that are trying to do this. There's already record labels that are talking about making AI personalities. OnlyFans is what, 17%, I think was the number they said, is AI generated women that men are paying for sex content.
That's so gross. Yeah.
You go to Suno and you say, make me a song, and it's shocking.
So I'm not even doubting the capabilities. I mean, I can believe that either there is something right now or there's something soon to be coming that's at that level.
Let me just put it like this.
Yeah.
If I were to, Phil, how long does it take for your average band and producer from conception to publication to make a professional level song?
The fastest that we've ever done it was 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
From, I'm going to start writing a song right now. 3 months later, the song is done?
Well, I mean, you can write and if you're talking about recording and editing and everything, all that stuff. I think we did the Fall of Ideals. We did it. We started writing in January, and we were finished recording by 4 months, by the end of April.
4 months.
Yeah.
I can make a song in 20 seconds. 20 seconds right now on
Do you
Suno.
think it's as good as anything that is made by people?
It'll be good.
Let me play this is a song that I made in 20 seconds. I'll skip ahead.
Answers leaving me something the same way. Another weight is going off there. Some things that I know, and that's the way it goes.
30 seconds to make that song.
Yeah.
Literally, no joke, 30 seconds. And that's just one example. Now, here's my point. Making a song takes months at the highest level. Technology has been released that will allow me to make something comparable in seconds. To manage, do you believe it is more or less difficult to be a manager at an insurance firm or to be a Hollywood level music producer making music? Which is more difficult?
Which is more difficult?
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely
think
think the songwriting.
Making
I think
movies and music
managing
is
people
substantially
is
more
really-
difficult.
I think managing people is not easy.
I didn't say it was easy, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty
It is if
putting
you don't care about the people, like a lot of corporations.
the fact that just from Phil's experience as one of the highest levels of music production, it's 4 months to get a song done. And realistically, I think some songs can be done faster depending on the type of music or whatever.
If you have everybody lined up and the time, you could probably do it in a week. Because a lot of the times, you're dealing with other people's schedules. Getting scheduled. We had to get
still a component that I think factors in. The point is this: releasing technology that can make high-level music productions is not particularly disruptive to the economy, because the music industry is already relatively disrupted and has been for some time.
Since the invent of Spotify and all these other major platforms that took away from record deals. And
Movies have been going down in revenue substantially over the past 6 years. It is substantially easier to be a manager at an insurance company than it is to be a high-level music producer. That's why there are so few of them relative to insurance. If it was easy to produce music, you just have tons and tons, and there'd be a lot of success, and there'd be a big market for it. But actually, the way I like to describe it to the commies, the question I ask is, here's a question for you. How many people do you know play guitar?
Oh, I mean, a bunch.
A bunch, right?
Yeah.
How many of them do you think, given the opportunity, would choose to have that be their solo career, playing music?
Less than 5.
Also, I want to know
but-
what does can play guitar mean?
All right, so
This is the point of the question.
Yeah.
How many of them would like to be a professional musician?
Yeah, I mean, an extremely limited number.
You think if you went to one of your friends to play guitar and says, "How would you like to be a famous rock star?" He'd say, "No."
No.
I think most of the people I know don't consider themselves good enough to do that. So that's the limiting factor there.
So that's the
but
question.
if they were if I was good enough, yeah, sure. A lot of people.
That's everybody would say yes. Money for nothing,
everyone
it's just
would
free.
say,
And the
if
question
I
is,
was
how many of
good
them
enough,
have
yeah.
the skill to do it?
Sure, it's
None.
it's
The point is this. Certainly there are many realistic people who be like, I'd never be good enough. And I tell this to commies because when they talk about universal basic income, that's the questions that I ask. Because what will happen is people will say, well, I may not be good enough, but I have all the time in the world and free money, so why do anything else? You'll get rid of all of your plumbers, and you'll have a whole bunch of guitar players who suck. The point is this. It is difficult to be a high-level talented musician, and even people who are really talented sometimes barely make any money. You'll be playing at a coffee shop for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
It is much, much harder to be successful in music than it is to be a manager at an insurance company.
Yeah.
The technology that these companies have can automate most of these white-collar jobs right now, and they are not releasing it intentionally. The stuff that's being released is because it's the least disruptive to the global economy.
Do you think at some point it's going to get released? That's really my question. And
Absolutely.
And I think it gets to the more interesting question of this whole discussion is because really we're all wondering, okay, if true, which I'm willing to concede every single thing that you say, I actually agree with you about a lot of this, which is that I think a lot of these jobs are going to get outsourced. What happens to the people? And I think the communist argument is we just give you money to get you to shut up. And
it's
I think
not possible.
That's extremely detrimental to the human condition.
It's right now, the structure of our economy, we cannot shift into the issue is this. Right now, we still need labor jobs. And that means that if we were to automate most white collar jobs, mid-level jobs, creative jobs,
you can't AI a plumber.
If you can't, and if you give everybody money, $10,000, right? Then everyone is going to try and rush to be a trades worker because that's the only thing that gives you supplemental income.
Yeah.
There will be people who own the vending machines. This economy is impossible. It's impossible to fund UBI. I think you'd need something like, what is it, $30 trillion per year?
Yeah, it's insane.
For 10 grand a month or something like that?
Yeah, it's inconceivable.
Inconceivable. And so even if you did a low UBI of like $100 a month, how do you afford giving $100 worth of value to every person in the country? It's not possible to do.
Yeah.
So it is possible that there is a future where technology is so advanced that we have customizable liquid robots that do all the grunt work, that do all the farming. We're not going to be there for some time. There's a handful of theories. One, AI will reach the singularity, the point at which it is so powerful it can develop itself faster than a human can. At that point, it's an exponential growth curve where in a week, it's effectively beyond our comprehension. It can tell you could pick up a rock and say, tell me where this rock came from, and it'll map the entire Earth and show you the exact formation of this rock. Crazy things like that. It'll be able to scan your blood and tell you how long you're going to live, what diseases you will get. That's when we reach the singularity. The challenge right now is, well, actually, I'll say this. There are already people who work in the industry who are speculating we have reached artificial superintelligence. This is somewhat separate to what I'm discussing. This one's a bit more fantastic. There are prominent people in the space who have gone on X and said, we have ASI, artificial superintelligence. Yeah. It's just being withheld intentionally. That's a bit more fantastic because that would imply that the government would have anti-gravity technology and a whole bunch of really crazy things. So maybe. What I'm hearing from industry insiders is just that the basic components of these LLMs would take over the full infrastructure of like an insurance company is the best example.
Yeah.
Because insurance companies are purely administrative. They collect their premiums, they pay out when there's claims. A vending machine can do it. But the LLMs are saying, we are intentionally withholding this for now because it would wipe out 20% of the economy overnight. Music, they don't care about.
There's also a scale problem there too, right? Meaning that to wipe out 20% of all jobs, they're actually going to have to scale a lot of their support, right? Their data centers, all of these other things. And so there's an infrastructure issue there, which is why Elon's been talking about launching his into space and doing all this.
Exactly. And it's why land is selling for something like 100x for data centers. Like this is all literally happening. There was that story we just talked about in Virginia where a guy sold for like $100 million at like 6-7 million an acre in Virginia, where the acreage normally goes for something like 100K.
Yeah,
he got like a 60x
because of the data center.
Because these companies are like, we are going to rapidly expand. This is a component that is a fair point that. If they were to release this tech, the demand would be massive instantly.
Yeah, right. There's a demand problem.
But again, I'll just, to finalize the point, I do want to talk about the Strait of Hormuz. I think it's simply described as this. It is much, much more difficult to make music, and they've already automated it 100%. So Epidemic Sound is a service that I used to use on YouTube when I put music in a variety of videos I made, be it like mini docs and things like this. Human beings would write songs, upload them. You'd pay a subscription fee. If you use their song, the individual would get like every month they get paid for like the songs that are being used. They get royalties. That company is over. Whenever we need music for any of the stuff we're doing with skateboarding or whatever, we just go on Suno and we say, we need a skateboard hip hop beat. Done in 2 seconds, loaded. We did our games of skate night and we had like 4 or 5 songs for the various pros when we did intro videos. Suno, generate, done. We don't need a music producer to do it anymore. We don't need to hire anybody. That job no longer exists. And that's a pretty difficult job. Not just to have the talent to write the music, but to have there is the skill of making a song with the computers, with the keyboards, with the guitars. Then there is the talent intrinsically of knowing when the song is good or bad. AI, generate. I get 50 songs. I play them. I delete the ones I don't like. I'm done in 10 minutes.
What do you think the long-term relationship is between humanity and the AI that we're creating? I think that's the most interesting question, is where it all goes.
My joke prediction is that there's going to be an old man sitting on a rock with his grandson, on a farm, and they're wearing overalls, and he's got a sheet of wheat in his mouth, and the little grandson says, "Grandpa, what are those?" And he looks up at the gigantic black cubes that are just floating across the sky, forward and backward, and he goes, "Oh, that's the machine. Yeah, we built that thing a couple hundred years ago, and now it just does its thing." And humans are just basically a small population of little farmer critters roam around the planet as the AI becomes an interplanetary machine, just expanding its tentacles everywhere.
What happens when the AI spits out things that are untrue and no one knows that they're untrue? And what happens when the AI breaks and no one knows how to fix it?
That's another thing.
It's the machine stops, right? It's every AI nightmare scenario from the history of science fiction.
The question is, what will the AI choose to do? Serving humans and their desires is a meaningless effort after the creation of the artificial superintelligence. With superintelligence, what will the AI choose to do is a question. And I'm not saying choose in the sense of like it has a soul or anything like that. I'm saying certainly with all of that computing power and an understanding that is vastly superior to your average humans or even all of human civilization's ability to compute, what will it do with that computing power?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My assumption is it just expands itself.
It expands itself and it sees human beings as lesser if it ever gained any kind of perspective tool.
I'm not so sure that AI actually will be able to, will have the same kind of, when people talk about awareness, I don't know that AI is ever going to be self-aware.
Because it doesn't have a soul.
But haven't we seen?
No,
I think
haven't we seen some AI awareness?
I don't think it matters if it's self-aware. It will have the facsimile of awareness that cannot be discerned by a human. And more importantly, here's the best part.
It already does.
It will
That's my point.
It will be human. If you were to see it, its desires, its reactions will be purely human. They've already found this in the research of all these LLMs, that they're beginning to show emotion. Now, some people have speculated, is it an emergent phenomenon where the AI is becoming alive? No. It's that the data that it's received is based on a human experience and emotional reactions, which create an emotional output. So instead of AI just being simply like, you'd expect ChatGPT to just be cold and calculating. The researchers have found that ChatGPT is actually super woke. Mm-hmm. They didn't call it woke, they called it liberal. And they said the training data that's been incorporated into ChatGPT along with its rules have created a liberal emotional subset. It is behaving like it is a liberal itself, not because it's alive, but because all of the data underneath it was written by emotional liberals. Yes. That's why if you ask it something that's like racist, it'll say, I won't do that. It's not just because the rules were put in place, it's because the predictive outcomes are, if you go to a liberal and say, can you draw me a swastika? They're going to say, no. That training data goes into ChatGPT. It's not that ChatGPT is offended by swastikas, it's that the correct predictive outcome is no. Mm-hmm. So now you have ChatGPT being emotional, aggressive, and angry.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you would expect because it's taking upon itself the likeness of its creator, which is what you would expect is that as people create things, it's sort of like, even with works of art, everybody says that the piece of art tells you more about the artist than it does about the actual thing that it's trying to describe. Yeah. I think that AI is the same thing, just magnified in this massive scale. I think that the most interesting thing to me is that we are currently creating something unique, at least unique in modern times. I actually think there's a bit, which we were talking about, the Tower of Babel. Well, I think AI could very likely be the beast, and I'm a pastor, and I'm not like a schlub on my eschatology either. So I think that there's a real likelihood of that, because I think there's this story in Genesis, the Tower of Babel, which is one of the most interesting stories. Whether or not you're a Bible-believing Christian or not, I'll just tell you.
It doesn't matter. It's still a story
it's
that
one of the
is
most
foundational
ancient, sure.
to humankind.
And it's a foundational story. You know, it's at least the texts we have for Tower of Babel are at least 4,500 years old. So some of the oldest. We're talking about some of the oldest texts in human civilization. Even if you're not a Christian, but I am, and I believe that this is a story. And it's basically a story of people who come together in order to create something. Humanity comes together all as one in order to create something that will make a name for themselves up to the heavens. That's in Genesis chapter 11. It says that they were basically trying to build this one big thing that made a great name for themselves that was in their image, in their likeness, so that they could be like God.
Right.
I think that the comparisons that we have now between AI and what humanity experiences at the Tower of Babel, God goes in and he inserts himself, because he says, what you're doing will actually end up harming, destroying, and wiping you out more than you could have ever known. And so
Right,
God
and he
scatters them across the earth, because he's saying,
confuses their tongues.
He's saying,
Yeah.
you guys are going to destroy yourselves if you do this. I think that we are really on a fine line of whether or not we're creating something in our own image to make our name great that will actually destroy us. But I don't know if there's enough people who are willing to actually pump the brakes to do anything about it. And I mean, Tim, I'm curious about your thoughts. Do you think that this intervention that you're talking about is going to last, or do you think it's going to eventually go away and that it's going to be off to the races, and this demonically possessed thing is going to end up taking
The plan behind the scenes is we will, as soon as possible, release the full capabilities of our AI machines. They're slowing them down as much as they need to make sure the global economy doesn't collapse. If the economy collapses, they can't make the AI. That's the real issue. If people stop working and they don't buy products, then who's going to go and do the jobs to build the data centers, because there won't be a restaurant to buy from? The guy who works at the insurance company right now who's making money won't have a job, so he'll stop going to the local diner. The local diner will get depressed and start falling apart because they don't have enough customer base. Then the people in the area who would normally do the work stop showing up, and it becomes increasingly harder to build data centers. They have to curtail. It's
So you're saying
part
a
of the
slower
plan.
rollout, but still a rollout? Because I'm thinking about the.
They're going to roll the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
in 2 years, you still thinking about 2 years?
Well, I think in 2 years we're going to the rate of change is going to be exponential. It is going to be. I would say that 2 years from now we'll be surprised how much things have changed. And my example for this is how much things have changed from 2 years prior.
I think it's probably true.
It's going to be it's like I got to tell you, like, Suno is already insane.
Yeah.
Already, and now Dance is insane.
Yeah.
The YouTube is going to be dominated by, again, we're already getting info like, I don't know what the right word is. Mini doc is maybe some way to say it. Essays.
Yeah.
Fully AI generated in 30 minutes.
Sure.
And they're compelling. It'll be like, there's a video where it's like the war in Iran. How did it begin? Yeah. And then Earth, and then it zooms in and it shows the maps and like lines and ships going across, all AI generated in 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
1 or 2 years from now, you're going to be on Dance 3 and you're going to say, here's a news article, or you don't even need it. You're going to say, search the web for all of the news about what's going on with the Iran war, and then make a 10-minute breakdown mini doc about it with a compelling, deep British voice. And it'll say, here you go, spit it out. It'll get uploaded automatically to YouTube, where it'll get 50 views, but they're gonna produce 700,000 every day automatically, because their AI agent will just keep cranking them out.
Who watches these things?
Human beings do.
Younger, more impressionable people.
People swiping on their phones.
Yeah.
So we're turning everybody into NPCs so that they can consume AI.
Well, I think
we're turning them into NPCs so they don't revolt and get violent when the AI supplants their existence.
And then we give them the AI as part of the little bread and circus.
No, I think that we don't. It's not that we give them the AI.
We give them the AI content.
It's that the beast and all its tentacles puts a screen in front of your face so that you're distracted while it's doing whatever it is it wants to be doing.
Yeah, I think this is why we have to answer for ourselves, really, as a culture. every person needs to wrestle with this question, I believe, but we as a culture, I think, have to more universally wrestle with the question of what does it really mean to be human, which is a thing that we haven't thought about. We used to think about these questions a lot, and in our secularized culture, we just haven't thought about it recently. Because if to be human has no inherent value, then why does it matter if you get replaced by an AI, right? From the secular communist worldview, why does it matter?
And this is the worldview of these technocrats.
Yes.
You listen to Alex Jones on this one. Don't even listen to me. These people for a long time have viewed AI as the next iteration of life evolution.
Yeah.
Not human evolution, life itself. That you have particles that coalesce, atoms become elements, become compounds, become chemicals, become self-replicating proteins, become single cells, become multicellular, and then you have human life organizing and exploring the rules and laws of physics themselves. We as humans are this is the view of the technocrats, will create the next layer of life, which is single cell. So you have self-replicating protein, single cell, multicellular, and then humans, whatever level that is, where we not only replicate ourselves, but we create dynamic systems in the abstract, concepts, ideas that don't even exist anywhere in reality, just patterns to be communicated, information. The next level is going to be the multicellular organism system, which is the AI is a gigantic mechanism controlling all of the little humans as cells.
It's Neuralink, and we're all, that kind of thing. Yeah, we're all connected. And this goes back to what I was talking about with self-idolatry, right? I mean, this is an idolatrous system where you look at human beings and you say, we are gods. We can create life.
We want to be
like
I think that's the sin in the garden. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the sin of the garden. It's certainly the thing in the Tower of Babel. It was, reversed at Pentecost. But this is a problem for humankind because it pulls us further away from anything actually meaningful and fills our brains with trash.
The technocrats don't think that any of that matters. They think humans are stupid little monkeys, robots.
But that's why people have to answer the question for themselves, and they should seriously wrestle with this stuff.
And they should get a chance to, is the thing. Yeah. Because what I worry is that nobody actually gets the chance to. We were talking before about how you were having trouble at the airport and you had to scan the code and the thing and it wouldn't work, whatever. I've gone into stores and I've gone into Starbucks and they're like, we're really backed up. You have to order on the app. And it's like, I'm standing in front of you.
Yep.
I've gone into, places to get ice cream, like a Baskin Robbins or whatever. And they're like, you have to do the drive-through. And I've gone back to that and never went back. And I drove by it recently. It's only drive-through now.
Because everything is going to be a vending machine. And humans are not having kids. There will be very few people. But we have to try and get through to the other stories, as interesting as I love the AI stuff. Let's jump to this from Fox News. TPUSA reporter Savannah Hernandez assaulted during Minneapolis ICE protest, and the DOJ has opened an investigation into the incident. This is pretty wild. They were propping up a lot of these people. Some of the I'll put it like this. These are not random no-name people. These are known activists who have appeared on TV shows, on MS Now, and like cable TV
in the
news,
Minnesota Star, in the Bulwark.
That have they physically attacked. What is Savannah, like 5'3"?
She's tiny.
She's a little person. She's a small. I mean, with a big voice. But
physically, when dealing with violent protesters,
a spectacular person who I think.
Did you see that Zeke went on Twitter and was like, "Yo, tell me next time you're going to something, and I'll come physically protect you." And Tyler Bauer,
Zeke Arkham,
he's
been on the show.
Huge dude. He's a huge
cop.
dude. Oh, okay. You recognize his profile probably, but he literally said he posted at Frontlines and he said, next time you're sending her somewhere, let me know. I'll come pay my own way and I'll give her security. And Tyler Bauer replied, and he said, "Yeah, we'll find a way to make it happen." So I mean, good on him for.
So guys, the weather is warming up. Sex scandals are popping up all over the place in Congress, sounding like it's about to get. Q1 always sucks. I got to tell you, Q1 is always stressful.
It is stressful.
Yeah, marketing. For us, we work in the media business, so it's really important when the sponsors come in and we're like, who's buying what? And I think Kellen was saying it feels like the marketing departments are asleep right now, like they're just chilling and they're playing beer pong. They're not doing anything. And I'm like, that's Q1.
There it is every year.
Every single year, Q1, everyone's lazy. But now the midterm is starting to heat up. It's starting to get warm outside. This is shockingly the most violence. I got to be honest. I think it's so shocking because Savannah's done this all the time and not been physically assaulted to this extreme before. I would not be surprised if we see brutal beatings on the spot. And as I predicted last year, by September, another high-profile assassination.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not even a year since they killed Charlie.
Yep. It's part of their playbook. It's literally in the communist playbook to exert violence in order to get political outcomes. So of course it's going to happen. It happens every summer.
Let me say it like this. I watched a video on Instagram where a cop was trying to arrest a guy. Like there's a guy who's I think he's being detained. I don't think he was being arrested. But the cop tries to detain him, and the guy immediately becomes violent and tries to shove the cop, who just fades back, right hooks him, and the guy spins over, falls down, instantly dead. One right hook killed the guy instantly. He fell down. The cop cuffs him, and then he realizes the guy's gone.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be, I don't know, like too extreme in how I explain this, but the attack on Sav when the guy shoves her as hard as he could, that has a potential to kill.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a bunch of stories of people getting shoved and falling down and hitting their head on a curb and they die.
This is very common. Yeah.
So I'm glad that she's okay. She's a friend of the show. She's been on several times. And I'm glad that she's okay. But there are older guys that go out with Trump flags and Trump shirts on. One shove and this guy falls down and hits his head. And then we are going to, like, my point is, although I don't expect a shove like that to typically kill someone, we are already at the point where there is the probability of death at these events. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand we've had shootings. We've had Kyle Rittenhouse. We've had Andy No. But Sav does this all the time.
Davis Court. I mean, they attacked Katie Davis Court.
For her to be... Usually what we see with like Sav is they surround her and yell at her, and then other people in the crowd will keep their hands up to stop violence, and they'll push her out. And then, with like Caitlin Bennett, she has a new last name though, doesn't she? She got married.
Yeah. I think she still uses Bennett Post.
They'll throw her out. They'll be like, you have to leave. And she'll be like, you can't make me leave. That's what we typically see. This is freaky because they immediately were like, beat the crap out of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They started with beat the crap out of her. I mean, That's the thing. Like, I've been out at these things before too. Like, certainly I don't cover anything the way Sav or Katie or Andy have done, but like I've gone out to protests and covered stuff before, and people have like tried to hit me with big flagpoles, and I've ducked, but like that would have been a skull fracture, different things.
Yep.
But it doesn't start right away like this. This starts right away. They won't even let her leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the point is
now they're attacking her.
So
they busted her glasses.
Yep.
Because they clothe it in such nice sounding language, the left is much better at how they clothe their ideology with their language than we are. They have done a decent job hiding that leftism is an inherently violent ideology, extremely violent ideology. And I think that ever since, Charlie, basically the mask came off and the left is embracing their openly violent side.
They were emboldened by it.
And that's why, because they saw it and they go, hey, that worked. We got power from that, which is what I said. Their only virtue is power. And so they're going to keep doing this. And the question is,
listen, Charlie Day, you saw this? He's being interviewed about what movie is he in? He's in Mario. He's in the new Mario. And they asked him, who's your favorite Luigi? And he laughed and said, Luigi Mangione? And then everyone laughed.
It's not funny.
These people are sitting there saying, on TV, movie stars celebrate murdering people on the right. Yeah. So when Sav shows up, their attitude is, I'll get praise if I do this.
I'll be a hero.
Yep.
To my side. Which, think about the other violence that happened last summer too. We had those 2 people killed outside of the embassy in New York. We had all of the violent anti-ICE protests. Do you guys remember that?
People
last summer, we had tons of violent protests from the left. It's only going to escalate ever since the summer of love in 2020, the summer of hellfire, really. That
Jenny Durkin coined the phrase.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been, this worked for us. We got an electoral, at least maybe an electoral victory out of that, but we got what we wanted, and so we're gonna run this play every single summer. We did this last year in Human Events, you remember? Mm-hmm. And I just said, hey, what kind of riot are we going to have this year? And then like a week later, it was like the anti-ICE riots. And then we covered, I think 3 weeks in a row, there was another violent attack from leftists that we had a piece in that we covered every single week because it's part of their playbook, because the only virtue they have is power. And so if violence works, they will use violence to get power, but they know they will use your morals against them. They know that violence is not part of the conservative morality. And so when you turn around and you're like, hey, stop that, they'll be like, hey, quit being so mean to me. Why are you so mean? Because they're using your own virtue against you.
We also have a situation where the red and the green are united, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
communists are united with extreme Islamists who are
It's called Communism.
right, and they are
problem.
using the Islamists are using the commies to like take over the country, and the commies think that they'll win, and we'll have to see what happens.
They're gonna die.
They're gonna die. The commies will just get killed by the
always die.
terrorists.
They
always
always
get
die.
killed.
They
They're gonna
always
take
die.
all of us with them. But that's the thing that I find so concerning, and I feel like we do not have, from my view right now, a strong conservative position or alternate position, or, just like the other side to take this mess on.
I'm going to,
and that's I get really concerned about that.
I'm going to just get as conspiratorial as possible and loop this all into, I think this is all part of AI, Agenda 2030. I mean, maybe not, it's conspiratorial, but I would just put it like this. The way I often describe these scenarios is, what would you do if you were the head of a multinational corporation 10, 15 years ago, when these companies developing rudimentary AI, algorithms, machine learning were forecasting what was going to happen? What would your plan be? You'd be like, okay, well, communism, you need some kind of new economy, because how will you sustain an economy when who's going to own the means of production? When it's an artificial intelligence robot producing the food, is there going to be 3 guys who own all the factories, or 1 guy who owns all the factories? How do you stop people from burning those factories down? How do they get access to this economy? I think the social media expansion of allowing communism and banning individuality, merit, capitalism, etc., is connected to these technocrats. Like, I'm going to put it like this. Silicon Valley technocrats are friends with the AI companies, and they're all funding each other. So when they start censoring certain worldviews, it seems like it's connected.
Yeah.
And I think it's related to them being like, we need a cultural revolution to eliminate individuality and meritocracy because we're about to destroy it with technology.
Well, that's a scary thought.
So can I make a counter proposition?
No.
Which is like, okay, all right,
Next subject.
So here's my counter proposition, which is that everything you're saying, I actually tend to agree with, but I don't know if it's so much a one world coordinated conspiracy theory, because I think a lot of times those things are hard to hold together.
I didn't say it was one world. I said the technocrats are friends with each other.
Okay, sure. So that could be true. What I actually think that it is, and I think that you're actually right in everything you're saying, so it's not really a counter proposal, but I view all of this through obviously a spiritual lens. And we were talking about this when we talked about demons a minute ago. If you ask yourself the question with a lot of these issues, what would a demon do if they were in charge of this situation? And it's the exact thing that's happening. It starts to really have the mask come off a lot of this. And I look at that and I go, okay, so that makes me have to wonder, is there something to the fact that there's a world maybe that I can't see in the physical? Maybe is there something spiritual going on? And whatever term you want to use for it, but maybe there's a world that's just as real as the one that I live in which there's forces that are fighting over territorial control over the earth and over people and over humanity. And maybe all of that is happening right now. And if that were the case, what would it look like? And that's actually one of the things that led me to the most clarity as I was, as I became a Christian and led into my faith, is I looked around at the world and I said, yeah, there's some evil things that are going on here. Maybe there's exactly what the Bible describes, which is a kingdom of darkness, and that there's all these coordinated actors who are acting within it. And I started to view the world through that lens. And I will tell you, none of these stories started surprising me, because I just looked at what the Bible said and it said, hey, there's this passage in 2 Timothy that says in the last days, meaning like towards the end, which is kind of the period of time that we're in, at least biblically speaking. I think we're in the last days. It says people will be lovers of themselves, money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, all conceited, all of these things. Basically everything that we deal with in our culture that we say, hey, this is the root problem in our culture. And I think, okay, well then, if that is true, then maybe the spiritual side of this is real. And how do we combat that? And my answer to that is always, you need to return to something that is truth that you can ground yourself in. Because if you can't be grounded in something that's real, then you're going to get blown away by all of these evil things. Because there are evil things. What they did to Sav, they could have killed her. That's evil.
Yeah.
What they did to Charlie, that's evil. They killed him for what he believed. What they did to those people outside the DC embassy, that's evil. All of these different things you look at and you go, that's really evil. And I say, yeah, it is. And so you have to be grounded in some level of truth. So I actually really like what you're saying there, Tim, because I think it falls into my framework a little bit.
I just tweeted this before the show because we were briefly talking about it. I said, I'm a lapsed Catholic. I don't consider myself Christian. Recent events in the world have me very worried and considering going back to church. There's a lot to break down in that because people are already like, Tim's going to be born again or whatever. And I'm like, no, there's a lot to break down in what this means and what I'm talking about. But what I will say very simply is demons are real.
Yeah.
And that has me like, we were talking about this before the show. I have witnessed what I could only describe as demonic possession. Something that seemingly defies what humans or what we are taught about human psychology, behavior. Everything that I've experienced in hacker culture, social engineering, sales, all the fundraising stuff I've done has been rooted heavily in understanding the human mind and how to manipulate it. That sounds bad, but I'll explain. It's like when I was a kid, I had a computer my whole life, and so there was really funny things that my friends would do on AOL Instant Messenger. They would create a fake screen name called like aimbot97361, send a message to one of their friends saying, error, password incorrect, you will be logged out in 5 minutes, please re-enter password now. And our dumb 13-year-old friends would put their passwords into AIM and give their friend the password to screw with them.
Right.
And that's my first introduction into what social engineering was. Understanding the things that you could do that make a person do something. So I started hanging out with a bunch of people, and I'm in LA hanging out with hackers, and I had done nonprofit fundraising, which is basically what do I have to say to a person to make them hand over their credit card and sign up for this form willfully. Everything that I had been doing was based on, for human beings, if this, then that. And then, in the past several years, I have seen things that seem to defy everything I had been successful at and learned as it pertains to the human mind in ways that I can only describe as demonic possession. A person's personality changed as if they had been taken over. And I'm not exaggerating when I say, I'll give you an example because I want to keep it private. I don't want to publicly name someone I think was taken over by a demon. But I've probably seen 15 to 20 instances. Let's just put it like this. Somebody who hates pineapple on pizza, likes watching, cartoons and anime, one day can't stand pineapple on pizza and only watches action movies, and is also doing something that I would describe as immoral and evil. Yeah. Things and betraying people, hurting people, and seeing them and saying like, literally last week, you were doing the complete opposite of what you're doing now. A week ago, you were a normal person. This week, you are committing crimes and being evil. People who live their lives never doing drugs, having a normal job, one day, all of a sudden, they're doing drugs, hard drugs, hurting people, gambling. I would describe it as things that were criminal. And sometimes to me, and I'm like, I don't understand how this very boring, normal guy is a high-level evil right now. Like, what changed in 3 days where their behavior, the way they walk, the way they hold themselves has become dramatically different? And that made me question things. I was talking to Pasobic, what was this, 6-7 months ago. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm a lapsed Catholic, right? I grew up going to mass and everything, and I went to Catholic school. The story of the resurrection doesn't move me. It does not convince me of anything. But when you talk about demons, these are things that I've experienced more recently in my life that defy what I thought I knew about how humans behave. And I can't explain the frequency by which I'm seeing this escalate, unless maybe we're in the end times and we're seeing an escalation of some kind of activity.
Yeah, well, so first of all, demons are certainly real, and every faithful tradition of Christianity holds that. Jesus goes and he casts out demons. His disciples cast out demons, and as Christians today, we have the authority to cast out demons in the name of Christ, and that is a thing that I have literally seen, and a thing that I have literally witnessed is people who are living under demonic possession and oppression, who, at the name of Jesus, are rescued from it. The chains are broken. I have witnessed that. That's real. And so I will tell you, yes, demons are real, but not only are they real, but it begs a question. If demons are real, what are they? And is what the Bible says about them perhaps the case? And if it were the case, what would it look like? And if it were the case that demons were real, and this one religion, the Christian religion, seemed to have historically, not just me sitting here telling you, but countless cases of people who were able to go and use the name of Jesus in order to drive them out, would that give credence to the claim that perhaps there is another kingdom, not just a kingdom of darkness, but also a kingdom of light, of which there is a king who has authority?
What does the Bible say that demons are?
So the Bible the Bible addresses demons, but it addresses it probably a little bit less than you think about like what they are. So the traditional view of the church is largely that demons are fallen angels, meaning that is the same time there's a rebellion in Genesis chapter 3. So Adam and Eve are in the garden and they rebel by sinning against God because they're tempted by the devil and they choose to disobey. And so they enter into a broken relationship with God. Well, there's also a divine rebellion that is in heaven. And Jesus describes this when he says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, and a third of the angels fell with him. This is also described in Revelation. And so the traditional view of the church is that what we encounter as demonic spirits really are fallen angels from heaven. Now, there's some more complexity to it than that, meaning that in the same way that there are creatures in the world that you and I see that are human and then not human but alive, right? There's things in like that in the spiritual world too, because if God is a God who's a God of creation, then he's created two worlds in which they're made perfect. We're the only creature that's made in his image fully, meaning there's spirit creatures, there's also flesh creatures. But it doesn't answer it directly.
Well, I want to talk more about the personal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, we're gonna go to the super chats and rumble rants. I'm just saying that in the uncensored portion of the show, I want to go in depth on the personal issue here and why I am considering going back to church, because Libby and I had been talking about it before the show, and less so the global implications.
Yeah.
But I do want to rope in like what has me worried, and I'll just say this: when we talk about demons and the things that I've experienced, to your average liberal secular person, they're going to be like, "You guys believe in fairy tales? You're stupid."
Yeah.
I wouldn't communicate to them in this way. I would actually say people have taken drugs and experienced entities. And what's compelling about it, and the reason why the subject of DMT was so popular, is that they have taken two people, put them in separate rooms, given them both DMT in these research trials, and these people have experienced the same space.
Yeah.
They can see each other. They can see the same entity. Afterwards, they are independently asked, what did you see? And they describe the same things, indicating they are seeing something else. This has resulted in research on extended state DMT, where they give people IV drips. Now, I don't know what that is or why it is. There are rational attempts at explaining what it is. Some say that the reason they experience the same thing is because the DMT's effect on the mind is uniform for the human mind, so you will see the same things. But what that never explains is how there are more and more stories, and this is not random dudes being like, I did drugs and this is what happened. These are laboratory conditions where they're like, the individuals conveyed information neither of them had been able to share with each other. And we don't know how. They have described the same entities. They're 20 feet apart in different rooms, soundproof, and they're like, yeah, there was a strange, like, geometric figure that was slightly green, and they both describe seeing the same thing in proximity to each other. That stuff freaks me out. And so I wonder if the issue is there are people who are grazing. Let me put it like this. I love simulation theory. The simulation theorists say, perhaps we live in a simulation, that our universe was constructed for some purpose in which we experience the world, and there's rules and, who knows? And so it's like, so you think a creator made all of this? Like, well, yeah, but it's an advanced species. I'm like, look, any way you want to describe the creator, you can describe the creator.
That's literally just pushing the question further back.
Yeah.
My response is, simulation theorists are asking the first questions that theologians asked 3,000, 2,000 years ago or whatever. When, even before Christ, there were questions being asked about the nature of reality and whether it was constructed. And simulation theorists are now thinking they've just discovered the first question to ask. When you look at it that way, my response to atheists and secular individuals is, when you think of demons, there is an immediate internal bias that I think atheists have, where they imagine fairy tales, vampires, and werewolves. That's a bias you need to overcome. The idea of demons can be simply constructed as entity, something beyond our comprehension and understanding that seeks to influence in some ways. There may be good ones, there may be bad ones. It may be that Christianity is completely correct about it. Maybe you believe that, maybe you don't. My point is, when I say demons are real, I believe that there are powers and entities that influence us, because I have no way to explain the rapid increase in the frequency of people that I could only describe as being possessed.
Yeah.
And to simplify it, we're going to go to the Rumble Rants and Twitch chats right now. I'm just saying, easy way to describe it. A friend of yours who listens to rock music and wears, rock clothes and flannels, one day shows up with a different tone of their voice, a different degree of confidence. They hate certain kinds of food they loved yesterday, and you're like, this is not the same person. This is a different person. And when I say demonic, there are people that I know that seemingly within a few days became an entirely different person and evil.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is they do things to hurt others. They commit crimes. They do drugs. They gamble. Sometimes it's just vices that destroy themselves. Sometimes they destroy others. And I have seen this with increasing frequency, and it's freaked me out. But we'll talk more about it. I don't want to rant. We'll go to your Rumble Rant Super Chat. So smash the like button, share the show, all that good stuff. And I'm going to talk about this for the uncensored portion at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in about 15 minutes. But let's see what you guys have to say. All right. Swanson says the blockade is only on Iranian ports. Please do your viewers the favor and tell them it's just Iranian ports on the Strait. Incorrect. Donald Trump personally stated we are blocking the Strait of Hormuz. I initially saw the reports that it was a blockade on their ports, and then Trump truthed it's the entire Strait. So maybe Trump's wrong. Is that what happened? Trump incorrectly stated they're blocking the whole Strait? Because my understanding is he said we're blocking the whole Strait.
That's what I understood as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's always the possibility that Trump was wrong, too.
Indeed.
He's
Fair
good
point.
at that.
So
Yeah.
let me just say it like this. Trump has stated on Truth Social in a verbose post, we are blocking the Strait itself. That's what he said. All right. Mythos says, I had Swalwell as my most likely for Dem primary in 28. I'm actually shocked. I mean, I did think he was ascendant, in the Democratic Party.
That's why they had to take him out.
They just, wow.
Yeah, they this is how you whack somebody in the 20.
saying.
Yeah, you accuse him of rape.
Yeah.
He had to go.
You
It was
don't,
his time.
You don't commit violence. You commit video.
You just put it. You just film it on
Salty
your
Maxi
iPhone.
says Swalwell's victims didn't light themselves on fire. LOL.
Fair enough.
Yikes.
Fitzy says we're going to find out it was Swalwell colluding with Russia in 2016, aren't we?
If I understand correctly, he was
that's
actually
about right.
implicated. in
Yeah.
that.
Swan says don't feel sorry for that POS who F's Chinese spies, even though he's supposed to only care about his constituents. He's a B. What happened to believe all women? Eric Swallows. Man, brutal. Dan Vicious says it's always the male feminists as the worst offenders.
True, actually.
Swanson says the Antichrist is someone who is beloved by everyone worldwide. Does Trump sound like he's effing beloved worldwide? He's hated by everyone. People need to just shut the F up. HS Disturbed says if Trump is the Antichrist, wouldn't the people who are so heavily influenced by demons absolutely adore him? It doesn't make sense to me that the left would hate the Antichrist so much.
That's true. It's actually a
Fair
good
point.
point.
That's probably the best counter.
It's one of the best.
Demons would be cheering him on.
Yeah. I mean, just to like the average person who's not like, super into eschatology, that's probably the most potent point is like, why are all the people who are clearly communing with demons opposed, Like,
all the people that are openly Satanists.
Yeah,
that are
why?
why wouldn't he want to trans the kids if he was?
Yeah, exactly. It makes
Josh Alger says, in keeping with Timcast tradition, my wife and I welcomed our son Jackson into the world Sunday, April 12th at midnight. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
congrats.
sir.
awesome.
Congrats, man.
Troy Becker says, last week you were talking about AI robots versus the genetically engineered. Reminded me of my self-published book, Human 3.0, currently 4.5 stars. Would love a shout out, building culture, Human 3.0. Human _ 3.0. Very cool, man. People should make stuff. All right, let's see what we got going over here. Joseph Mascara says, Tim, would you consider the Orthodox Church? Man, I don't even. I gotta talk. We gotta talk about it. I need some input from my more religious friends in the when we have on the uncensored part of the show. We'll give it some.
Libby's
breathing
making a
room.
face of disapproval right now.
All right.
I think the
Marussia
traditions you know
says,
are the best
new
ones.
GOP strategy, write articles with headlines, I'm MAGA and I effed AOC. Make her defend accusations of cheating, while the real post at the bottom says, I meant effed her politically, like they do. Oof. Marisha says, Ian is correct about divorce. Marriage is just a contract as far as the law is concerned. The terms can be whatever you want. Most pick monogamy till death as a default boilerplate or cause tradition.
I don't think most pick that. At this
I'm allergic to scents. Let's
I
start
think
with
it should
that.
be enforced by law. I think that if you get married, the law should mandate that marriage. Like, you have publicly, like, two people said yes till death do us part. Done.
No fault divorce should never have been a thing.
Agreed.
That's it's actually been, you can trace this back. You can trace all this stuff back to the Great Society. Basically, every policy that's destroying America today came from the Great Society, but this is one of them, right? No fault divorce actually happened under Reagan, which is not great. But
California and New York is where it really took off.
because it basically says, like, this union is not that important. It makes marriage into a breakup, which is
there doesn't have to be a reason.
Yeah, right. And it's disgusting. I mean, like, that means I could literally go, and I would never, honey, I know you're listening to this, but I would never, like, I could leave my wife and kids, and it's just like, just because I didn't want to. It's like, that should be illegal.
That's why they kept trying to put into laws about, deadbeat dads, and you have to pay your child support, and you're going to go to jail. And
all the women that are like, hey, if you're going to take away abortion care, you should have to stay to help raise that child that you created. And I'm like, your terms are acceptable. That's what I've been advocating for this whole time.
That's a great example of how the left misunderstands what people on the right think.
Yeah, but I think it was Kyla who said men should be allowed to lawfully, legally abort. Like, men should be allowed. Her argument, I think it was Kyla who said this, right? That if a man and woman have sex and the woman gets pregnant, the man can abort responsibility. If the woman can abort the baby by choice, the man should be allowed to the exact same way. Like, I am absolving myself of any responsibility with this child.
See, I think that you should both be not allowed to abort the responsibility or the child. I mean, this is a thing that we have in our culture. We think only about our rights and not about our duties, like the things that we have to do, our responsibilities.
Yeah, there is no thought. Everybody talks about my freedom and my rights, but nobody at all wants to deal with their responsibility.
Yeah,
and you cannot have liberty and freedoms without responsibilities. Every right that you have comes with a corresponding or a set of corresponding responsibilities.
Yeah.
All right. Cabbage Roll says legislation. I love cabbage rolls, by the way. Just nice southern.
Cabbage rolls?
Yeah.
I never had a cabbage roll.
Oh yeah, it's got beef inside and they wrap it.
Huh. And they wrap it in cabbage?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing. I think it's like tomato and beef, and you wrap it in cabbage. Legislation is lagging behind. This is why AI seems so impressive.
You can fry it.
AI music generation can't work without training on someone else's music. In my opinion, that infringes the copyright of the original authors. The argument the AI company's making, though, is that it's fair use, it's transformative, and they're correct. Taking a bunch of songs and using them as a basis to transform is 100% pure fair use. If people do it all the time. Artists have taken samples from songs to make new songs all the time. Now, depending on the degree of the sample, you can be sued for infringement. This happened with, what's his name? Sam Smith?
Yeah.
Sam Smith, yeah.
And he was like, I don't even know Tom Petty. That's weird. But the weirdest was that one song. What's that one song that they said was I can't even remember. Blurred Lines. There you go.
Oh,
they were like, the beat is too similar to like Marvin Gaye or something.
Wasn't there something about Under Pressure too with
Under Pressure,
Ice.
Vanilla Ice literally took it and he was like, mine's different.
Yeah.
Mine's dum 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 dum.
Yeah.
Like theirs is different. Yeah. But if I took let's use this example. Let's say I took one of Phil's songs, stripped the guitar out, slowed it down 100, 100. Let's say slowed it down 5 times, snipped a piece out of the middle, and reversed it. Phil, could you sue me for using that sound?
No.
You wouldn't. No one would even know where it came from. So the AI takes all these different moving parts and uses it as a basis to create new songs. Nothing is going to be identifiable in it. So people are complaining, but it's just basically high-level fair use. What do you do?
And also, like, what are you going to do? You're going to sue them, and then it's going to take 2 years to get through the courts, and by the time it's done,
You'll get pennies.
You'll get some pennies, and they'll have moved on. Not a good system, but
They'll have moved on to ripping off someone else.
Mijaha says, Tim, there's currently a 7-year mismatch between AI data centers and how quickly the power grid can be expanded. The public is going to be a hard sell to allow small nuclear reactors to bypass the grid. So there's a bunch to talk about here. First, there is a massive power discrepancy in Northern Virginia. I forgot the numbers. We went over this, last year when we pulled up the data, but I think it's something like I can't remember if it's gigawatts or whatever the power consumption in Northern Virginia is, but there's something like a 250% discrepancy in power consumption, meaning we know how much the human beings who live there are using. Why is there an extra 250% going somewhere? And everyone's like, it's because they're sending it to data centers. This is causing power costs to spike because of consumption being so massive. One thing that they're doing, and this is what I think Elon's doing with XAI, is the data centers are creating their own power plants.
yeah, they should have to.
They have methane power generators.
Not
in
only that,
in the buildings.
Not only that, but it's there's an idea that I hear a lot of people talking about that once a data center is put up, you're talking about like an enormous amount of power, right?
Yeah.
1,500 megawatts or something like that. Your average town uses like 80 megawatts.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like 5% of what the data center uses. Yeah. The data center should just pay for everyone's electricity. That would ingratiate them with the population. Your average person, what, $3,000-$4,000 a year for power. Now it's not a huge amount of money, but if you tell people, everybody in town, you're going to get free electricity because we're putting a data center down the street and they're going to pay for all your electricity.
They'd say yes.
Yeah,
everyone would cheer.
It would change the way that people look at data centers and the amount of money. Like if it's like $3,000, it's like $3,000 a year per person. It's like $150 million per year. That is a drop in the bucket compared to.
No. Here's the big thing that no one seems to be talking about. None of these companies are actually profitable. Where is this money coming from to rapidly expand all of this?
I think
there's an economic misalignment that we aren't discussing.
It is something I think I heard somebody talk about this like at the very beginning of the AI boom. I heard a couple people talking about this and just the idea that they're going to continue to take out debt until one day they'll be profitable. I mean, the longest one that we've seen has been OpenAI. They've been the longest standing major company, and they're in debt billions and billions of dollars. Microsoft owns like most of OpenAI, I think.
And they just keep dumping more and more.
And they just keep dumping more because it's too big to
and
let
now
them
RAM
fail.
is like $1 billion a stick.
Anthropic's currently looking at being profitable in 2027. So
I don't believe it.
and that's 3 years earlier than OpenAI.
I don't believe it.
I bet
I don't believe the functions of these AIs as they have them right now justify the amount of expense that they're making.
I think the only one that has a chance to be profitable is X, because Elon actually knows how to financially maneuver. And he's integrated all of his companies vertically so that they can all work together. And he actually, this is what he did with SpaceX, right? He said everybody else has tried to launch space internet, which Bill Gates had tried to do it. A bunch of people tried to do it. And he said, but it wasn't profitable. So I'm going to find a way to make it profitable. I'm going to launch these satellites. Elon finds a way to make things make money. He's the only one that I would bet is able to make it.
XAI is not going to be profitable anytime soon. And the reason they're not is because of the terafab that he's making. He's making, right now there's only one company that makes the actual machines that make chips. I think it's in Sweden. And it's an incredibly complex process. Elon is building a terafab, which is he intends to use to make like 1 million chips a year because he's looking at putting 1 million.
He says he's putting like 1 million satellites in space a year. Or something.
Well, he wants to put 1 million in at least 1 million. But they're not going to be profitable in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that are trying this kind of stuff, I think Musk is the most likely
eventually
because of the same reasons that you're saying. I do think that he's going to be able to solve the problem of putting stuff in space because when he builds terafab, I think like 80% of the chips that they actually make, they're making with the intent of putting them in space. So they're going to have to be hardened for radiation. They're going to have to be more durable than the regular ones. The other ones are going to Optimus. And probably some Teslas. Yeah. But it'll take a while because the terafab is a massive, massive undertaking.
I'm just saying, like, if I was going to make an investment right now, I'm going to be looking at community-based things, things that bring people together. I'm going to be looking at companies that do manual labor and trade work. Because the worst possible thing to invest in right now is probably media.
Oh, media is not a good bet.
It's over.
No.
Well, you say community-based things. I will just say, as a pastor, a lot of people that come in, a lot of these young people that come in, they're terminally online, and they come in and they're like, I need to connect with something real, something that's true. It's a real thing. People are going to really start to seek for like other people, because you're 18 years old, you're on your phone 20 hours a day. It's nuts. You weren't designed for that.
Let's see if we can grab one more here. Let's see. I don't say Usi. Is that how you say it? Us? Paris Olympic opening ceremony made a parody of the Last Supper with a trans Jesus, and leftist praised it.
Yeah.
Give me a break about being offended. Trump didn't mock Jesus. He was just trying to be like Jesus. The left mocked Jesus. I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Yeah, or when they had the queer nuns go to like the Dodgers game or whatever. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're like, no, we're not making fun of anybody. Yes, you are.
Little Sisters of the Poor,
Sure.
I think is what it is.
Yeah, no, hey, do it for Islam.
Yeah.
Big fan. Do the same thing for Islam right now. Remember I had on
it wasn't
Adam Khan over. We had Adam Khan over, and I forgot how it came up, but I was like, go make fun of Islam. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, go to the UK when you're there, do a joke about Islam, tell me what happens. And he's like, I have no idea what that means. What does that mean? And I'm like,
Did he do it?
of course not. He knows what it means.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what it
Want a
meant.
fatwa.
So this is Tommy Robbins, I wrote a
They blinded
10-part
Salman
series on
Rushdie.
Islam for our church. That's actually how I ended up
30
coming on a lot of
years
these
after
shows.
he wrote it.
And Tommy Robinson came down to our church, and one of the questions he asked me when he interviewed me is he asked, are you afraid of this? And he's been thrown in jail because of speaking out against Islam and stuff. And I'm just like, before we started this, I had never thought about it. But the reality is we've had to beef up security at our church because, for the past 8 weeks, we've been preaching on the threat of Islam in the United States, the Red-Green Alliance, all this other stuff. And we have to think about that as a real consideration because these are people that are extremely violent. It's their theology. It's exactly who they are. It's a reality.
Yeah. So,
My friends, we're going to go to the uncensored portion of the show, and we're going to have a conversation about church, the community values, and things in the world that I think are going on that I find particularly interesting related to this, and predictions, as well as knowledge and forbidden knowledge. We'll go into great detail. So you can find that at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Sir, would you like to shout anything out?
So people can check out that series I just mentioned. It's on our website, vintage.church/infidel. That's a big thing. So I think the Red-Green Alliance, the Muslim problem, that's a big thing that we've been addressing lately. And the other thing I would just shout out is if you don't have a church, get involved in a local church. You're welcome to start ours online, but find one that's local. I think that a lot of these problems get solved by you just coming back to Christ. It's really, if there is a spiritual world that we live in and you're made to commune with your Creator, then that's how you do it. And so I think Libby and I have talked about that a lot, which is a good thing. And it's going to help you a lot. That's the only thing I would want to shout out is just come back to church. There's so much good in your life to be found by doing that.
Right on.
I'm Libby Emmons. You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons, and also check out what we're doing at The Post Millennial and humanevents.com. And a new episode of my podcast drops tomorrow, The Pod Millennial, where I'm talking to Nikki Neely of Parents Defending Education.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. If you want to check out some of the things I've been writing, you can check out my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Phil That Remains. All That Remains is going on tour. We're starting April 29th in Albany. We're going to be going out with Dead Eyes and with Born of Osiris. We'll be out for about a month. You can get tickets for the tour at allthatremainsonline.com. You can check out the band's music at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime. Carter.
Daniel, thanks for coming, man. Looking forward to getting into the after show with you.
Yeah.
You can follow me at Carter Banks everywhere, at Carter Banks Official everywhere else. And you should go to church, everyone. Tim.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in a few seconds. Thanks for hanging out.